there is a man standing on a bridge, on a plank, on a railroad bridge. Also on this plank are two soldiers holding up this weight. They're federal soldiers. At one end of the bridge is a sentry, and there's another one at the other end. His name is Peyton Farquhar. He's guilty of assisting the Confederates. He is a gentleman. He's not a soldier. As such, he's not blindfolded. However, his hands are tied behind his back, and he has a noose around his neck. Peyton looks around. He looks off in the distance, and he sees trees, and he sees the railroad track disappear. He looks to the right, and he sees a vast plain with the railroad tracks goes on into infinity. He's thinking, how did he get here? How can he get out? He misses his family. He hasn't seen him for 2 days, but he already misses them. He's thinking he's never going to see him again. He looks down at the water and he sees a piece of driftwood slowly making its way down the stream. And he thinks to himself, God, this is a very slow stream. Maybe I can somehow loosen my hands, take off the noose, jump into the water, and swim away to safety. And he starts concocting a plan in his head. Doesn't get very far. The soldiers are given the order to step off the plank. And Peyton falls. He immediately loses consciousness, as if one who is already dead. But this doesn't last very long, because suddenly he feels water engulf him. He realizes the rope has broken, and he's sinking, sinking. With his hands tied behind his back, he looks up, and he sees the light diminish. The light from the moon, from the sun is diminishing. He realizes he's sinking some more. He doesn't care. He's not struggling. He's given up. But suddenly, he starts going back up, and he sees the sun coming up, and things getting brighter and brighter. He thinks, wow, to die from hanging, not so bad, but to die from bullets, not so good. So he starts planning of ways to get out of this. When he finally realizes that there's a struggle going on near him, it's the struggle of his hands, autonomously trying to free themselves. And he realizes his hands are free. They're in front of him, and they're trying to remove the noose from his neck. He wasn't aware of this. The minute the noose comes free, water rushes into his lungs, and he's in pain, and he demands that his hands put the noose back, but they don't listen. They're trying to get him to the surface. He's in pain. His neck hurts. He breaks the surface of the water. He takes a deep breath, and he's facing downstream. He realizes that everything is so much sharper. All his senses have been sharpened and are keenly aware of everything around him. Every single ripple of the water that hits his face, he can feel. He can hear the humming of the wings of a dragonfly 20 feet away. He can see each individual blade of grass across the stream. He can see the veins on the leaves on the trees. He's in a daze. He slowly turns around. The water turns him around, and he sees the soldiers up on the bridge. He looks at the captain, and he sees his gray eyes. And he knows that people with gray eyes have good marksmanship. And the captain raises his gun, points at him, and shoots. Misses, but the water from the bullet, as it struck the surface, sprinkles his face, and it jolts him to reality. He comes out of his daze, and he realizes, I can get away, I can live. So he dives and he swims downstream for what seems hours, and he can hear the bullets above and he can see them trickling down the water. He can feel them as they touch his body as they come down. One in particular lodges on the back of his neck, and it's hot, and it hurts. And it hurts his entire neck. He reaches back, grabs it, and throws it away, but the pain remains around his neck. He continues to swim. He finally comes up for air. He looks back, and he realizes he's much further down the stream. Now the soldiers are little, but he does make out a cannon. They're getting a cannon ready to fire at him. He's looking around to see where he can come out of the water. The sense of smell is very strong. His vision is very strong. His feelings are very strong. He loves his wife. He hates the soldiers. And all these things that are coming into his brain become a vortex of emotion, color, sound, and everything. And he loses consciousness again. When he comes to, he's on a beach with both hands down. He looks up. He's tired, cold, wet. He doesn't care about life anymore. He's ready to give up. He looks at the sand. It's beautiful. Every little grain of salt is like a pearl, like a crystal. And he just wants to stay there. He doesn't care if he gets captured again. He just wants to stay there and enjoy the sand, revel in it. Suddenly he hears a report of a cannon, and the trees above him shatter into a million pieces. They missed him by this much. Again, that jolts him to reality. He gets up and he runs. He runs through the trees. He runs through the bushes. He runs for minutes, hours, seconds. He doesn't know how long he runs. All of a sudden it's dark. It's darkness. But he's still running. He's trying to get home to his wife. He comes to a clearing and finds a road. And he knows that this road's going to take him home. By now his pace is very slow because he's very tired. He's weak. He's broken. But he's walking, marching on. He gets to the gate of this plantation. He sees his wife off in the distance on the porch. Her dress is shimmering from the moonlight. The instant that he sees her, she sees him. And they run towards each other. As they're running, Peyton becomes very aware of his own heartbeat. But the heartbeat becomes a little metallic clunk, clunk. And with every clink and clank, the space between he and his wife shrink and grow, shrink and grows. Then the clunk becomes a click, clack, click, clack. And eventually becomes a tick, tock, tick, tock. Just as he's about to reach his wife, he opens his arms to embrace her. As he's about to close around her, he falls. He sees a light. He feels pain. All of a sudden, everything is black. Everything is quiet. The body of Peyton Farquhar falls. He is dead, and he's dangling from a beam on Owl Creek Bridge.